right, let's get more on the big run in semis. Bring in Bernstein senior U.S. semi analyst Stacy Rasgon. Stacy, great to have you with us.
Good to be here.
You know, does this run make you nervous going into earnings season?
Look, I guess anytime you go into earnings, you'd prefer expectations to be lower rather than higher, and I think expectations clearly are going up. Some of it's also the general cyclical behavior. Like you have to remember this cycle's been unusual. Last year was a downturn. Semis were down. The stocks were great, right? But the revenues were down. This year, revenues will grow broadly for semis. Things like PCs and smartphones, which drive all, probably 50% of semiconductor demand overall. They've kind of bottomed. They've hit bottom. Then people are looking at least for those end markets to grow some this year. AI is clearly off the charts, as you were talking about. I think there's some nervousness in some sense around some of the lagging edge stuff, automotive and industrial. And those are end markets that probably are not going to do so well this year from a revenue standpoint. But for a lot of the companies, they've already cut. And you get this sort of weird dynamic in semiconductors when people tend to want to buy earnings cuts. They like if they're confident that things have bottomed. Now that's a debate. Have numbers been cut enough? But in general, people have been buying some of these names on sort of the cyclical bottoming things. So you kind of been winning in all ways across semis as we go into earnings. And now, the rubble will hit the road, I guess, like as we start out next week and some of these prints start to come through. And we'll see where the chips land, I guess.
Stacy, you watch all these, I know. Tuesday, Texas Instruments. You don't have to play stock market with me, but Friday, AMD. And I'll tell you, talk about people getting off sides.
AMD's the following week.
Apologies, the following week. But with that said, my point is the following. AMD, the last 2 quarters, the prior quarter, the stock was 134, so everybody seemingly loved it. It cratered. This last quarter, 97 it closed. The knee-jerk and after earnings was to take it to 94. It's doubled since then. This is one of those names that people can't figure out. How does it set up in earnings effectively an all-time high?
Yeah. So, AMD has been an interesting one last year. They kind of missed numbers every quarter last year. And it almost didn't matter because they were able to create this AI narrative and backing it up in some sense, right? They've got a roadmap with products on it. They've got some clear demand. And they set up expectations for the AI piece of it very smartly. They set the number. I think they said they're going to do more than $2 billion in AI revenues this year. And that number is very small relative to the general scale of the industry. And so they probably left room to take it up. Now, I do worry somewhat about the rest of their business, just like we've been seeing for several quarters. We'll see about PCs. I think they're sort of the general data center, like traditional data center market has not been so great. Their embedded business probably going to be down double digits this year. Gaming will probably be down 20%. It's entirely possible that the core business could still be weak. But as long as people can have comfort in that AI story, maybe it still gets bought. And that's what happened as we went through last year. I think the issue with AMD now is I think people are expecting that AI number to go up. And I know they said more than 2. By the time we get to the end of this year, it better be a lot more than 2, given where the stock is trading right now. But that's that interesting dynamic, that trade-off between the AI story and the traditional story. That's going to be interesting how that plays out as they report and as we go through the rest of the year.